Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Catholic Re.Con Testimonies from Reverts and Converts. I'm your host, Eddie Trask, and this week's guest is Rosalinda Magaña Nuño, who I cannot wait to talk to. She reached out, and I got to say, it takes a lot of courage, I guess, to reach out to anyone because I struggle. I got to be honest. I struggle reaching out to other people to either have them on the show or if I want to share something and I think it would be fun for me to be on someone else's show. It's difficult. So I just want to say thank you for reaching out, Rosalinda. And yeah, as I start all of these shows, why don't you take us back to the beginning of your testimony? And I know that there will be many listeners that will love to hear what you have to say.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I am grateful to be here. And I had that fire in my heart to the need to share my story, right? So yeah, it was very funny to me listening your podcast, how a lot of stories began on 2017, right? So I am part of one of those stories where that's how I started my official journey. So at that time, I was in a relationship with a boyfriend, and we were living together. We lived together for 3 years in Mexico. And then it was like my lowest point. I was doing everything wrong. I remember one morning I was trying to pray, and I found this prayer saying, "Help me, God, to do your will." And I was like, I'm gonna skip that part because I'm having so much fun that just gonna continue doing my stuff, right? So yes, protect me and help me, but I'm just gonna do whatever I need to do. So yeah, I knew in my heart that it was wrong that I was living with my boyfriend. We were not united by a sacrament, and I stopped going to mass. I stopped calling my parents. So I felt like I was like a superhero. I was making good money. I was living with a boyfriend that I loved, and we were just doing great. And the relationship started to go down. At some point, I felt like lost, and I couldn't accept to myself that I was lost. And I was feeling, I started even getting sick every month because I needed like to defend my dignity as a human being, as a woman. I needed to share a lot of stuff with, I was not agreeing with my boyfriend at the time, but I didn't have the courage or like the strength to do it. So I was like swallowing, and I was holding to myself all the things that I needed to say.
Sure.
That I was not agreeing to. And I was just sick of my throat. It was month after month taking medicine, and it was just crazy. Even yeah.
So you're saying because of having to bottle up everything that you wanted to share, it made you physically ill. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Even the doctor was very surprised. Like, you again here? Like, what is going on? What are you doing that you're feeling sick again? I was like, I don't know. I just was just really sick. So we lived together for 3 years, and then one of the weekends in 2017 in March, he just disappeared. Like, he never came back home. And I was like very worried, like, what's going on? Is he like cheating on me, or I don't know what's going on? So he came back a Sunday night, and I just saw in his face like, this is something wrong. Something is wrong, and I don't know. And he approached me and he said, you know what? I don't love you anymore. You're boring. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave. You can keep all the stuff. And so, of course, I was very surprised. I was not expecting that, and that destroyed me. Like, my heart, it was just not broken. It was like make dust. It was dust. So it was very hard. And one of my friends took me to her place because I didn't want to stay there. It was too hard for me, like to see all the stuff we bought together and the life we built together. Like I cannot stay here. So I decided to move out, and literally I just brought with me my basic stuff, right? And after that, he started behaving like a jerk, and he kept everything. I didn't have access to my stuff. And when I had the opportunity to bring my stuff, he had everything packed. Like he couldn't wait for me to go.
Got it.
So
Yeah.
that was, of course, really, really hard, right? And then it is very curious, very funny. Every time I move to a different state, or now that I'm here in a different country, God always put someone from my family or close to my family to help me. And so at that time, my boss, she is like my cousins of my cousins. She's like related to my family. And she was the one that brought me to her house to live and to recover. So I don't know, it was God's grace how I didn't lose my job, because at that time I was a zombie. I didn't know who I was. I lost myself. This guy was like the center of my life. I forgot about God, and I was lost. The good thing, I never saw my future as black. It was only white, but I couldn't see anything. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted.
Yeah.
I was just, I don't know what to do. And I was that lost that I didn't call my parents to help me, like, hey, please come and help me, right? So I was just in a very bad position. So I was, yeah, like living as a zombie. I worked very little those days, and I kept my job, and I moved. And when I moved to this person's house, her name is Olivia. I remember the first afternoon I sat on the living room, and I just heard the church bells. And I was like, okay, yeah, now I know what I need to do. Because part of my story is when I was little, I grew up as a cradle Catholic. Is that how you say it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And in this very sweet and loving family, but my parents, of course, as every marriage, had their difficult times. And my mom also, she grew up with a broken heart, so that at some point that was like an explosion. Like she couldn't handle that anymore, and she had a very hard depression and anger. So she lived through her own journey with the Lord too. So I learned what to do, right? Because I remember her like running to church and Bible studies and things like that. So I remember like, okay, this is what I need to do. So I heard the church bells, and I just ran to church. Like literally I ran. Like I don't know what I'm doing, but I need to go there. I need to be there. And they were calling for mass, so I just stayed there. And I remember I cried and I cried and I cried a lot. It's like God was like squeezing me as a lemon. It was just a lot of tears. And the next months, I just kept going to mass every time after work, and to adoration and holy hour. But it was just that, like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I know you're gonna help me. And in every homily, I was sure that he was like, the Father was talking to me, like with all the messages of comforting my heart at the time. So I also was having this very hard situation at work, where I was being sexually harassed about the director of the company. So it was craziness going on in every single aspect of my life, and I didn't know what to do. So I remember I prayed to the Lord, like, hey, please get me out of here. I cannot keep, like, you gave me all this talent. Please tell me if I can make something else. Maybe I really want to work in auto industry. So please give me the chance. And I went to, I don't know, maybe like 4 different interviews. I didn't have a lot of money anymore. And the last one, I remember I had only like $100 in my account. It was the last thing I had. And I had to go to a different state very far away from where I was. And I told the Lord, well, I'm gonna this is my last shot. If this is you want me to do, I'll do it. So I went to that interview, and it was the most wonderful interview. I was excited. I was not nervous. And I think it lasted like 6 hours. Like they were really excited to having me there, and I was very excited to be there. So it was just the Lord working, right? Yeah, they showed me like the process of the seeds, and I was just very excited. So I came back to home, and I was like, please, Lord, this is the one. This is the one. Please give me the chance. So it took more months when I got the offer letter, but I finally got the offer letter. So I moved to a different state, and I was just initiating a new life, like literally from scratch. Also, another thing, before I moved to that state, I was trying to put my life together, and I moved to a different house, and there I brought with me all the things that I could, all the things that I could, right? But one night, it rained really, really, really bad in the city, and my house got flooded. And I lost everything except my personal documents, like my birth certificate and my school stuff. And so all the things that I didn't need, the Lord was like, okay, I'm just cleaning everything from you, because you don't need all this stuff. You don't need memories that are gonna keep breaking your heart and hurting you. So yeah, it was just me and the car that I got at the time, thanks to the Lord too. And I moved, and even when I was looking for a house there, the house that I found, it was like a block away from my cousins, where my cousins live. Exactly. And also like a block away from another church.
Unbelievable.
Yep. So
I wanted to ask you I forgot, where did you hear those bells initially? Where were you? What city or what area were you in?
yeah, well, I grew up in Morelia, is my home state in Michoacan. And then I moved to Guanajuato with a boyfriend, and where my boss at the time, she helped me taking me home.
Yeah.
There's when I heard the bells.
Got it.
And then I moved to Querétaro. It's a city very close to Mexico City.
Okay, got it. Thank you. I just wanted some context there.
Yeah, I got too excited, I didn't.
No, that's good. That's good.
So yeah, I was like, okay, so this is here where I need to live. And I was just very excited and happy because I got this new job. And I continue going to adoration and to confession and mass. So I was trying to do my best, but I was still struggling with one of the sins, that it was like my addiction at the time, right? But every time I was moving to a different state, I was like, okay, this is exciting and everything, but this is it. I was just getting bored. Like I don't know. Every time is like the same people, the same activities, the same. Like, okay, God, what do you want me to do here? Because I'm getting bored. So then in 2018, the company sent me to Plymouth, Michigan for training. Like the team needs you to meet you there, and they need help with a project. So we're gonna send you for 2 weeks to Plymouth, Michigan. I was like, yeah, that's fine. And part of my story too is I have dual citizenship, and that is because of my grandparents. So there is where we can see like every detail that the Lord works, every like from years and years, and everyone is connected, and his plans are just perfect, right?
Yes.
So I think I am the only one, or maybe the second grandchild that has dual citizenship, but I am the only one that is living here in this situation. So yeah, my mother was born in California, and that's why I had the dual citizenship. So yeah, I came to Plymouth, Michigan, and as soon we got to the hotel, I was like, this is what I need. This is what my heart needs. Like, Lord, I feel so happy here and so peaceful. I couldn't believe how peaceful I was feeling. I was like, this is crazy. I don't even understand, but please, please, I just want to be here. And I stayed for 2 weeks. So the weekend, I needed to go to mass. So I looked for a church, and it was 4 minutes away from the hotel I was living at the time, those 2 weeks. So I went to Our Lady of Good Counsel that is in Plymouth, and I was just so happy. Like I fit in there. Like that was my calling, right? And we came back to Mexico, and I think every day since that day, since that day, I was like, please, Lord, I want to go back there. I don't know, you need to do something, because I just feel really happy. So I continue working and traveling because of work. They sent me to San Antonio, Texas, and I felt happy there because of the process and everything that I was learning. But it was not like the city was calling me, right? And then I had the opportunity to go to New York to visit a friend. And before, I had that idea or that dream, like, oh, I really want to go to New York City because it's the fashion stuff. So it's awesome. And I went there, and I didn't feel anything, like this is not for me. So in 2019, I got an email from my boss at that time, and she's like, Roxie, could you come please for a month to Plymouth, Michigan? I need you to support this project. And I was like, yeah, sure. So I am free. So I came in that month, and I was just super happy, and I continue going to mass to the church I found in 2018 that I found, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So the plan was only to having me here for a month, and then I was going back to Mexico, and that's it. But they liked how I was working, and I just, it was great working with the team and with my boss. Everyone was so great that we made a very good team. So they asked me to come back every month. So I was here for 4 weeks, and I was going back to Mexico for 1 week. And I was living like a rock star because the company was paying for all my expenses and the hotel and the car and everything. But every time I was going to mass, like, please, Lord, this is where I really want to stay. Please, please give me the chance, give me the chance. And I was sending my resume to my boss, like, hey, please hire me here. I don't want to go back to Mexico. I just want to stay here. And every time they said, no, 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 it's not possible. It's not possible. But I would just continue praying, like, please, please, Lord. At some point, my boss maybe got tired. I don't know. It's just like, you know what, Roxie, you're a hard worker. You deserve it. If it's not here, I give you the permission to find another company because you deserve it, because you have the dual citizenship. No one has to pay for your visa or anything. So that's fine. Just go ahead. I was like, okay. So I applied for different jobs, and I got back a few emails, but nothing settled down. So it was the December break, and I needed to come back in January 2020. And I found in the company's website that they were hiring the same position I was asking for. So I was like, hold on, why they're telling me no if they're actually hiring? They need someone. And my boss was like, okay, just do it. Apply for the position. It's not gonna be with my team, but just apply and it's gonna be the same. I was like, yeah, sure. So I came back in January 2020, and is when the virus started to hearing, right? So my boss told me, you know what, Roxie, if you go back to Mexico, you might be stuck there. So what if you stay here as long as you can, because the virus is coming to the airport, so you're not gonna be able to come back, and you really want to stay here.
Sure.
I was like, yeah. So I was just here in Michigan with my winter clothing. And I got my offer letter. They hired me, and I got my offer letter in February 2020. So I was getting ready to move, and the shutdown came. In Michigan, it was the March 23rd.
Okay.
So I couldn't go back to Mexico to say goodbye to my parents, and I was just here. And at the time, I was dating a guy, and I was sure, well, he told me like, yeah, if something happens, you can go to my place, right? So because of the instructions of the government, we needed to stay at home. And I was living at the time in the hotel still. So the hotel told me, you know what, girl, you need to leave, because we need to shut the hotel, and you just need to leave. And I was like, oh my God, where am I going to go? So I cannot go back to Mexico, and I have no family here. And well, I thought I didn't have family. And during February time, I found out I have a second cousin living here in the same city. Yes, exactly.
Oh, that's too good. Oh
I
man.
know, right? Yeah.
Of all places, come on.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly, in the whole world.
Yeah.
So my boss, my boss heard me that I was homeless, and she's like, Roxie, don't worry. My kids are out of my house because they live by themselves. So I have the space. I have you, and we can make each other company. Don't worry. You go home with me and you'll be fine. You don't have to pay for anything, because I couldn't go back Mexico, right? So I didn't have my American money yet, and my Mexican money was stuck there. So I couldn't make any transactions or anything.
Wow.
Yeah, so she was like, don't worry, just come with me. And she took me for almost 3 weeks. She cooked every day. She was very sweet. She was the sweetest. She was just the best. And I know as the Lord was taking care of me. I never felt like afraid, or what did I do? I made the wrong decision. I should go back and forget about anything. No, never. I was I'm staying here, and I'm happy here. It doesn't matter what happened. So that continued. I got my own apartment, and I was just so happy, even though I couldn't see my family for the whole year because I couldn't travel. It was, of course, it was hard. I had a lot of anxiety, crisis, and just feeling lonely because you cannot see anyone, and I didn't have friends at the time. So it's like, oh my God, just video calls, like, video calls with my parents, just hearing their voices. It was just good, right?
Yeah.
And I couldn't go to mass because the churches were closed too.
For
So
how
I was,
long? How long could you not go to mass?
I think it was for a year, for the whole 2020. Yeah. So I was just listening to mass through YouTube, and after that, I think they opened it, and we were having in summertime, maybe 21. I don't remember exactly. They were having the mass in the parking lot,
Yeah.
and yeah, they were like sharing the communion by car by car.
Hmm.
But I couldn't go to. I was still struggling with my sin, with that addiction that I had. So I didn't have the time to, or the chance to go to confession. So I couldn't receive the Holy Eucharist.
Sure.
So it was very hurtful for me. Like, oh my God, you're coming to my window and I cannot receive you. That's crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I was just living like that. And then as soon they opened it, their churches, I went back to mass as much as I could after work, because my work is 4 minutes away from the church. So everything is just perfect. And there I found, in this church, I found the community I feel I belong to. Everyone is super nice, and all the miracles just continue and continue. I was going to adoration every time that I could, and yeah, for like moving to a different country, it is just hard. Is not easy. Sometimes you even miss talking in your same in your language, like Spanish, or the food, or just the people and your family to hug
Yep.
you, right? My little sister. So I was going to adoration, like who else is gonna comfort me better than Jesus? So I was going there. But I was still in that battle of I don't know what else is going to happen to me. I would love to start a family. I would love to start dating, but no one comes. And I started doing the dating apps, and God was like, "Girl, you need to stop." Yeah, I know. So I was just getting very, very anxious about the future, what was going to happen to me, and if I'm gonna get married, or maybe God wants me to be a nun. I don't know. You just tell me, please reveal to me the plan you have for me. But of course, doesn't work like that. You need to trust first, and then He's gonna take you little by little all to the places you need to go and what you need to learn first. So I was having one of these crises, very, very bad. One morning, I remember it was a Monday. I was in the shower and I was like, you know what, God, I am about to lose it. I'm gonna get crazy. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I feel really, really upset, really anxious. You need to help me. And I was going to adoration in the afternoon before. I didn't feel any good. Like this is if I'm not feeling good here in front of you, is because I am really bad. Like I don't know, I am really wrong. I don't know what's going on. So if you cannot help me, who's gonna help me then? So I was, yeah, losing it in the shower, and I was like, please, I was just crying, like, please just help me. I need your help, please. So I went to work and I finished my shift, and I went to the church again. So as I was locking my car, I heard the church bells again. I was like, okay, so they are calling to mass, but it was a Monday. So I approached to the door, and I tried to open it the church, and it was closed. So I was like, what? This doesn't make any sense. Like, why they're calling if is not if the church is closed? So I was like, okay, this is crazy. So I went back to my car, and I heard again the bells, and I was like, okay. So I went back and I tried to open the door again, and it was closed. But now my eyes lifted, and I saw this card on the door saying, "Do you want to be healed?" And I was like, yes, this is what I need. And I was like, I know this is not like a funny story. I know it is you telling me that I need to heal something, right? So I went back to my car and I checked the website, and it was about this healing center in Florida. It is John Paul II Healing Center. It's a nonprofit organization ran by Bob Schutz. He's a Catholic psychologist.
I've heard the name.
It's just amazing, Eddie. It's just amazing. So at that time, it was like summertime, like July or something, and the healing sessions were in September, like in the fall. So I was like, oh my God, you're gonna, like, I have to wait until September comes. Okay, so I'm gonna try to survive. And I would just continue going to adoration. And then one afternoon, I was there in front of the Lord, and I told him, you know what? I don't know if I am praying in the correct way. I want to be respectful to you. I want to continue our relationship, but I don't know if I am doing it right. So please teach me how to pray. Teach me, because I don't want to be disrespectful to you.
Yeah.
So I went back the next day, and I was in the pew and I found this book saying how to pray. different types of prayers. Yes. So I was like, okay, this is for me. So I started reading the book, and then I was like, I need to get my own. So I started, I got my book, and I found a better version. It was divided in the 4 Gospels, and every question that I was having at the time, every message that I needed to get, it was through the gospel and through like teaching me how to pray, teaching me how to give myself to the Lord, like just trust in me and I'm gonna take care of everything. So it was just so beautiful, and I knew he was listening to me. I knew he was hearing my prayers. And then finally September came, and I started the four sessions of healing. So there, it was the most beautiful experience. I really encourage everyone, like the whole world is broken, sadly, but it's true. So the whole world, we need that healing from the Lord, from Jesus, from the Holy Spirit. So the very first day, I was just so excited. And the very first day, the Lord showed me who I was, like my identity, who I was, who is Rosalinda, who is Roxie. You are just a beloved daughter. You are my child, and I loved you so much. And of course, the Holy Spirit, you know how he works and how he just makes your heart feeling and your entire body. So I got a lot of messages of love. He opened my heart, and he just was working like constantly during those days in the next year. And I didn't know I was living with this deep pain. I just didn't know. I got used to that, like living with a broken heart through my whole childhood and the situation I lived with a boyfriend at the time. So at the first session, they showed you who the Holy Trinity is, like how they hug you, like each human being, how precious we are to the Lord, and how they are just there for us, to loving us and to help us. Also Mother Mary and all the saints, all the beautiful saints and the angels. So the last session, it was healing the person, like the body. So I received also healing that night. And after we finished, one of the girls that she was there also for healing, she approached me and she was saying, can I share something with you? I was like, yeah. So she's like, you didn't notice, but every time you were coming to church, I needed to sit close to you, like behind you or next to you, because that was like the direction I got. And I was like, okay. And she's like, yeah, and today that you moved to a different spot, I needed to follow you because the Lord told me that your pain was too big and too deep, that he needed to give some of your pain to me to work on it. And I just saw how they were cleaning your heart like in a surgery. And so she was saying me that, and I was like, oh my God. So
Oh,
she saw how the Lord was cleaning my heart, how he was like suturing, how he put it like in a bandages and in a cast because it was too damaged, that I just it was too bad, the pain, right? And I didn't know, of course. So that was crazy to me, and I was like, thank you, Lord, you are taking care of me. So I started trusting even more and more, and I just receiving his love, just working in how the Lord loves me and everyone, and how I need to love myself as well, because we are temples of the Holy Spirit. So I needed to change how I was talking to myself. Because, yeah, you can talk very pretty and very sweet to your parents, to your family, to your friends, but how you're talking to yourself. And I saw once in Instagram this phrase they were saying, do you think if the way you talk to yourself if you talk to your friends the same way, they're gonna be still your friends. And I was
Wow.
like, oh no, of course not. Always my response, because if I did something right, like, oh Roxy, you're so stupid, or things like that, right? Like just hurting you and hurting you. And after the healing sessions, I got these books that the Dr. Schutz, Bob Schutz, wrote. And one of them is this one, the Be Transformed.
Okay.
So it talks about the healing power of the sacraments. And there he shares a lot of beautiful things about the sacraments and stories. And he shares this story about this Japanese scientist, where he literally shows how words affect in every single one, or even the things around us, right? So this Japanese scientist, he cooked rice and he split it into containers. So in the first container, he spoke like really beautiful words, like, I love you, you're so precious to me, thank you for being here, rice, I love you so much, you're so beautiful, and things like that. And to the other one, he spoke really, really badly. I hate you, you are so bad, you're dirty, I don't like you, I hate you, blah blah blah. So he put it in the fridge, and the rice that was with beautiful things, it lasted like for 2 or 3 weeks. It didn't get bad. And the other one, like a few days later, it was dark, like it was moldy and it was just nasty, right? And then he did it again with ice. So he talked really beautiful to the water he was about to freeze, and then to the other one really bad. And when it became ice and he brought it back, and he under the microscope, he looked. In the first one, he found colors and shiny things and very beautiful, like colors and very bright. And the other one had dark and like shadows, like very weird things. So that was a very big lesson to me, like, Roxy, you need to stop doing that. Like, don't hurt yourself either. Don't listen to the other side, because that is not good for you.
Mhm.
So he showed me, the Lord can continue showing me who I was and how precious I am too, as everyone else. So that was, yeah, a big
Now,
lesson.
where was the healing center again? You said Florida?
Yeah, they are in Florida, but sometimes they travel around the US to offer the healing sessions. And then, yeah, I think, I don't know how, my church, they got some of the lessons, or I don't know. Now they offered like a longer version, and I took it again this year for 8 weeks.
Oh,
But
wow.
it's also directed by Bob Schutz and Sister Miriam. And also we have more prayer and adoration there in person, right?
Got it.
Yeah. So also the Lord, he's so tender, and he's so sweet, and he knows how much you can handle at the time. So yeah, he split my healing into, like, that year he showed me who I was, my identity, and how much he loved me, and who I needed to forgive also. And then the second session I got this year, it was about, he showed me there, he also needed to heal my family, not just me, my family, and like, just surrender to his plan. Like, girl, you don't need to do anything, you just need to surrender, and I'm gonna take care of everything. You cannot see it, but I am working, and don't worry. So it was so deep now, these sessions, this healing. And of course I fell in love even more. And I don't know, I just, every session, every Monday, because it was weekly, every Monday. And then I joined to another group, like a Bible study, but we study about different things, about the saints, about Mary or Jesus, and is women, right? So Mondays I was going to healing sessions, and the Tuesday I was going to the lift group. And so every session they were working together, and like, but that was not the plan, right? And every Wednesday we were having a holy hour. So everything that he taught me on Mondays, I was also working in the same on Tuesday, or he was giving me more information. And then we were doing like very deep prayers on the holy hour. So I was getting closer, or I am getting closer and closer to God and to Jesus. And it's just so beautiful. I cannot even explain. And now every mass, I can feel everything. I can understand even better, and to perceive the miracle of the Eucharist, like every single word in the music. And it's just, I just cry the entire mass. I cry every Sunday, or every time I go, I cry because I can feel it. I can understand the whole consecration in everything, every single part of it, right? So yeah, has been just so beautiful. Do you have any questions?
No, oh my goodness. Yeah, absolutely incredible. I guess my first question is, so when did you, what was it like to, I guess, go to confession and receive
Oh,
the
yes.
Eucharist? Because I don't remember you mentioning that portion of the story.
True. Yeah, I was going to confession before, but every time I was feeling very anxious and very guilty. Like I am struggling with this sin, with this addiction, and it is very embarrassing to me to go back again with the same sin. Like, oh my God, what like, why can't I stop? Like, why? I don't understand. If I am next to you, why I cannot get rid of this horrible thing? So I went to this it was a event for speed dating for Catholic singles. So of course Roxie was there because she wanted to find a boyfriend, right? So
I think of when you said that you felt like God was saying, "Girl, just
yep.
chill out." But go ahead.
So I went there before he sent me the message surrender. And I didn't find any boyfriend. I was like Casper, like a ghost. But at the end of the event, they were offering confession. So I was like, okay, I want to go, and I'm going to bring the same sin again, but I really want to get rid of this. So I went there, and I found the most beautiful priest. I know it was Jesus, right? I know he is the representative of Jesus. So I went again like, hey, Lord, I am really sorry. I am failing again with the same. I just need your help. Please help me. I don't want to go to hell. I really want to keep working and go to heaven. So he told me, don't worry, don't worry. I'm going to make a prayer for you, and everything is going to be all right. So at that time also I had a memory that I didn't remember before about my childhood, about how that scene started, because that is also part of the healing part, the healing sessions. The Holy Spirit and Jesus, they're gonna take you in a very tenderly way to the moment where your sin or your addiction started and why, so you're gonna understand. But also they show you that they were there with you, and they are always with you, and they're gonna help you to overcome that, right? So I remember I told that, like, I had this memory and it really hurt me, but I also want to get rid of this. And he's like, yeah, don't worry. So he held my hand and he made this prayer, like setting me free from that sin. And since that day, I didn't do anything wrong. I mean, I didn't have that addiction anymore. It just stopped. And I was like, oh, thank you. Okay, I didn't find a boyfriend, but I found my freedom here. So this is what I needed. So it was meant to be how he was pulling me for that specific moment.
Incredible. And then
Yeah.
as it relates to the healing,
Yes.
that you nailed it. You're talking about how the entire world is broken. And
Yeah.
it does get thrown around a lot, like finding your identity in Christ. And so that's in all Christian areas. You hear that a lot.
Yes.
What what do you think? I think you kind of touched on it, but what do you think was like the big aha moment as it relates to identity? Was it simply saying, wow, I am loved and I need to stop with this constant negative garbage that runs through my head? Or was it also tied to, like you said, this surrender where you truly say, I trust you and I've got to go with your plans, not my own? What was that big aha moment?
Yeah, it was realizing that I actually needed to stop making plans for myself, like just trust and live one day at a time. Don't worry about tomorrow because you don't know if you're gonna live tomorrow. Just enjoy, just listen to what the Lord is telling you to do today, and that's it. And also Mary is where she also intercede, like very one of the first months that I was struggling in 21, I believe. I came home and from work, and once you're getting closer to the Lord, you are now aware how you need to feed your body, like even with the things you eat,
Yep.
like you need to be aware, and with the things you watch and the music you're listening, because everything is trash, right? So I remember I came from work and I was like, I really want to watch something that is good for me. So I started Netflix and I found the Fatima movie,
Oh yeah.
and I didn't know it was a new version of it. So I was like, okay, yeah, this is what I need to watch. So I started watching the movie, and also part of this, when I was trying at first in the first years here in Michigan, when I was trying to understand how the Lord was communicating to me, many times I wasn't sure, and I didn't understand what he was trying to say. So I told him, hey, you made me very visual, so you need to speak to me how you make me understand with images, with music, or with movies, because you made me this way. So please help me to understand you. So that day he showed me in a movie how the beautiful kids, they were listening to Mother Mary. And I don't, did you see the movie? Did you
I didn't
watch
see
it?
that movie. I've seen a kid's cartoon about it, but that's about it.
Yeah. So there's a scene where the kids are playing on the mountain, and it is the first time they see Mary. So before they see her, it's a like a lightning that comes to the ground, and they just stop, like what just happened, right? So I heard the lightning, and I am sure I felt my mother's presence, like Mother Our Lady of Fatima, here in my apartment. And I was just like, oh my God, this is not just a movie. I am getting a message, like you need to listen and pay attention. And I know she was here. I know she was here. And she, in the most sweet way, she was like unwrapping all the bandages that I had in my soul, like in my heart, of my eyes. And there is where I finally understood the sin I was struggling with, that it was an addiction and that I needed to take care of that. So because I was not accepting that. So she was the one that brought me back too. And she was just taking care of me, and she was here with me. I know that. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And then also another story,
Yeah.
I was going to adoration, right? And I always believed that Jesus was there in the Eucharist, but I didn't understand how. Like I am afraid to ask you because I don't want to be disrespectful, but he knew I had that question. And I was like, yeah, I know you're here, but how? Just, I don't know how. So one of those Sundays that I was watching Mass in YouTube, immediately after the Mass, a video started about the miracles of the Eucharist. So how this priest didn't believe 100%, and then the Eucharist that fell and they put it in water, and I was like, oh my God. And it was this specific story where they sent the sample for a lab, right?
Yep.
And the lab came back with a report like this was about a human tissue, and it was the heart living, beating. And I was like, oh my God. So there, of course, I was crying again. So yeah.
Yeah, it makes me think of Blessed Carlo Acutis and all the work that he did
Yes.
to
Yep.
document the miracles, because
Mm-hmm.
you know, a lot of people ask how. I don't want to. Um, it's so hard for me to assent to this truth when I can't. You know, just nature. I want to see God. I want to see.
Uh-huh.
And then you read these stories and you see the scientific research, and
Yes.
you
Like
just,
without any need, he shows himself.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. You absolutely nailed it. Without any need, he shows
Yeah.
himself and continually shows himself, makes himself present. People are running from him, makes himself present, you know, chasing you down with love. It's unbelievable.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
the other thing I want to mention is, you know, this place where you can stop negative thoughts and stop calling yourself an idiot or stupid or all
Mhm.
those things, but at the same time realizing that all the good, everything that's supposed to flood into you, can only come from the Lord. You can't
Yes.
just like manufacture it. When you have to learn from him and
Mhm.
understand why he created you and what your purpose is, then I think
Yes.
these puzzle pieces start to fit together, because I think there are people that would say, okay, I'm just going to remove the negative. That's, I
Yeah.
think I can do that. And then replace it with what? Replace it with what? You have to know the Lord,
Exactly.
and you have to know his, or to the best of your ability, start to be open to what
Yeah.
he's trying to tell you each day. And like you said, one day at a time. Um,
Yeah. And what I learned, the wounds, they're not gonna heal with time. Even in a lot of songs, like, oh, just wait 100 years, you're gonna forget about that. Like, no. How with kids, if they fail and they scratch their knees, the mom comes with a kiss and is good now for the baby, right? It's the same. So Jesus wants to heal you, not with time, but with love. He's
wow.
gonna replace that hurting in your heart with his love, with his water, with his blood. And you just need to say yes. And if you don't know how, just ask.
Very,
That's another key that I found. I don't know how to trust in you. Help me, teach me how, and he's gonna find a way. Or I don't know how to love you more. He's gonna find a way. I don't know how to forgive this person.
he,
Teach me how, and he will. He will. And that's it. You just need to say yes.
so good. And I think the idea that time heals, what that does in many instances, I believe it allows for repression of trauma. Like, okay, that will just, we'll just push that off to the side, and you wake up one day and you're 85 years old and you have the same thorn
Correct.
that you had
Mhm.
when you were 7 years old, right?
Exactly.
So
Yes.
there's a lot to be said there.
Mhm.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you
Yeah.
for reaching out,
Of
um,
course.
taking that step to reach out. Seriously, it means a lot, and I know that listeners will get a lot out of this. Is there anything else you want to add about present day Roxie?
Yeah. Well, now that also how beautiful it is, the communion of saints. I never understood what was that like. I don't know. So Jesus literally introduced you to his friends, and they're gonna help you to guide you and pray for you, and they're just so beautiful too. And also my advice to the people is don't listen the devil. He's gonna be always there trying to confuse you, like you're so stupid, you, because for example, I really quick, I had the opportunity to participate or to listen one conference about abortion, how
Mm.
you can talk to people about abortion to not be to be against that, right? So that night I was very excited to receive that information. And like an hour before, I started hearing like, what makes you think that you're gonna save any souls? Like, you saving souls? That is so stupid. So don't go, don't waste your time. So don't listen to that. Like, just don't listen, or just remember that the Lord always is gonna give you peace and joy and hope. So if those thoughts are not taking you there and not giving you any hope or love or peace, don't listen to that. It's not worth it. That's my advice.
That's good. And it's funny, it's the same voice that will say at one point, say you're an idiot, you always screw up, and then also the voice that's saying everything's good, like just it's justified, do what you please. So there's this weird dynamic that happens, and that's why the sacraments are so important, to
Correct.
return
Yeah.
to the tangible, to know the Lord in a very, very intimate way. And
Yeah.
then voices, even if they appear, I forget which saint said that. There are so many things that he said you can just shoo away, like they're gnats or flies.
Yep.
And so a mind that is set on the Lord is able to do that, versus the other mind that is definitely caught up in the world. That
Yeah.
doesn't, those aren't flies. Those are just like, I don't even know, like a bulldozer just comes in and says, you're going to go this way, period.
Mhm.
But the person that's really open and surrendered, he said, you just kind of swat them
Mhm.
away, you know, that kind of thing. So, well, cool. Thanks again, everyone. Please subscribe, like, and comment, and share the video as well. And until next time, take care and God bless.